welcome to, or back to, my channel. My name is Sam, and today I'm going to do a bit of a different video for you. This is going to be a video about Draft League battling, particularly VGC Draft League battling, and more particularly my run in the recent Season 1 of the VGC Battle Association Draft League. So I entered the league as the Sussex Sableyes, Sableye being pretty much my favourite Pokemon, and well, I was the runner-up, which would, you know, it's okay. It's like, it's both really nice and also means I am the first loser. So, you know, I'm quite competitive and I really wanted to win, particularly because I put a really good run together, which I'll go into detail about soon. Before I do, I need to keep reminding you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, comment on the video. It's really nice, really helps me out. And like most of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, which is really cool because it means it reaches to a lot of people, but less cool because it means less subscribers for me. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. If you like the video, please subscribe. There you go. There's the pitch. I don't do it very often, but there's the pitch. So, here's how this video is going to go down. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to split it into 3 parts, okay? Part number 1 is going to be like reviewing my season, reviewing my team, or a few Pokemon in the team, and basically how my season went. Part number 2 is going to be my advice for anyone who's looking to improve their Draft League play, or you know, things like that. I mean, take that with a pinch of salt because I didn't win, but you know, I did do quite well. It was my first season, and this is not meant to be me giving you like tips because I'm some sort of incredible master of Draft Leagues. Evidently not. It is meant to be someone who just entered their first ever Draft League, and some things I wish I'd have known right at the start, and some things that I'll take forward with me, hoping I'm invited back for Season 2. So, and the third part will be a little discussion about what happens for next season, if there is a next season, and a few other little bits and bobs like that. So without any further ado, let's get into it. With a bit of a team rundown. So as you can see next to me here, in the middle obviously there's a picture of Sableye with a silver medal on, but obviously we're going to throw that silver medal away because silver is rubbish. And then around him are 4 Pokemon who I think were the keys to my success, let's call it success, in this recent season of Draft League, okay? Tornadus was my first pick, and I am incredibly glad that I picked Tornadus. I wanted Thundurus, but as it turns out, I think for Draft League, Tornadus was the best Pokemon I could have possibly picked. He was my MVP. I think he came pretty much every single week. He was just incredibly good. Like, whether that be as actually like an offensive threat, which he was at times, through to constant tailwind support, prankster support in other ways. It's just an incredible Pokemon. Like, I'm glad I never had to prep for Tornadus because it just does so much, right? Like, obviously the prankster tailwind is nice, prankster like taunt and things like that are really good, but even more so, like, you can run Defiant Tornadus, you can do all sorts of stuff with it, and every single week, I don't think there was ever a week where it wasn't in my thoughts, and more importantly, I don't think there was ever a week where it wasn't in my opponent's thoughts. Like, I would be very surprised if someone was prepping for me and didn't prep for Tornadus. Like, so no one would sit there and go, hey, he's probably not going to bring Tornadus this week, right? Because Tornadus, like, that would never happen. And that meant that my opponent would always probably be on the back foot because I didn't run the same Tornadus set once. So it was kind of hard to prep for. Notable kind of matches with Tornadus were, I think it was week 2, against the Boston Blissies, which was one of only 2 regular season games I dropped. I brought Rain Dance Tornadus. She had a Sun team. We also had a Sun team, but her Sun team was better in Sun than our Sun team, so I decided not to bring my Sun team. And I brought Rain Dance Tornadus with Weather Ball Venusaur and Weather Ball Tornadus as well. And it was just, I don't think she was expecting it, and I don't think anyone would have expected it. It was really cool. It was just something that Tornadus brought. And then the other kind of notable Tornadus matchup was against Plex in, I think it was week 5. I was prepping with Rhett, who helped me all season. We helped each other. And we were really struggling with the stack attacker matchup. Like, you know, depending on which item stack ran, it was really hard to work out what he was going to do and all that kind of stuff. And like, we'd worked out a plan. If it wasn't Air Balloon, we could definitely deal with the stack. But if it was Air Balloon, we didn't know what to do. And so we ran Air Cutter Tornadus. So it's just like a double target Air Cutter Tornadus. And I think it was like Choice Band, Earthquake Whiscash and stuff. And like, it was just, he messaged me afterwards and said, as soon as you showed the Air Cutter, I just didn't know what to do. And that's the strength of Tornadus in my opinion. So If overall, whilst like there were some other cool things, like people would love to talk about Whiscash and stuff, in my opinion, Tornadus was the most important Pokemon, like for me, throughout the season. So yeah. Next up is little Togedemaru there in the bottom left corner. Togedemaru was fantastic for me, providing fake out support throughout the season. Week 1, providing the Eerie Impulse support. I even ran Tickle at some point. I think I ran. Did I run Scarf Togedemaru at some point as well? Yeah, I think I did. It did a lot of different work for me. Provided Lightning Rod support for Tornadus and for Barbaracle at different times. It was just all round an absolutely brilliant Pokemon. Like it was so useful. I wanted Raichu, and I'm glad I drafted Togedemaru instead of Raichu because Raichu was taken, and it really was great. And it's just such a little cute thing. But yeah, there we go. And the second Pika clone was Mimikyu. Mimikyu again was just awesome. I ran a pretty standardish set most of the time, like 252 HP and 252 attack adamant. And then what I was doing with the disguise ability, which in my opinion is just ridiculously good, disguise, even though it does like chip you a little bit now, it's still so good because we were running. I could run Mental Herb so I couldn't be taunted, and then I had basically like a built-in Focus Sash. With pairing it with like Togedemaru for fake out support, it meant I could bring Mimikyu each week and have that Trick Room option, a Swords Dance option. Like we ran Trick Room variants, ran a Swords Dance variant next to Barbaracle one week where it and Barbaracle were next to each other, and basically the plan was we're going to Swords Dance with both, and one of them is going to get their Swords Dance off at least, possibly both of them, and then I also have the option of Trick Room to make me faster, and yeah, that's the sort of support Mimikyu brought all year, and as it turns out, in the final, I didn't do Mimikyu enough service, and actually not trusting Mimikyu was the reason I lost. So Mimikyu was fantastic all year, and I would draft Mimikyu again if I got the choice. I think it was just absolutely brilliant, and I don't think I even explored all of its options. Like there was a time before I think it was the final or the semi-final, I was debating running Choice Scarf Mimikyu with Screech, but in the end the accuracy kind of put me off. But yeah, finally, of my Pokemon, probably the biggest surprise package. Like I say, Tornadus was the MVP, and that is true. Like that's absolutely true. Tornadus was. But when it comes to Draft League and epitomizing Draft League and everything that it's about, you can't look any further than Whiscash, in my opinion. I think you'd be hard pressed to argue, or anyone to argue over the course of the season that there was a better Pokemon for its ranking across the whole tournament, like all of the participants. And I will fight any coach about this, and by fight I mean argue on the internet, of course, but I'll fight any coach about this. There was no better Pokemon for its ranking than Whiscash this season. It was tier 4, and it was incredible for me. I brought it a lot. I ran Choice Band Whiscash, Life Orb Whiscash, Expert Belt Whiscash. I ran Special Whiscash more than once. It was just honestly like the best Pokemon. It was so good, man. It was brilliant. It slayed dragons. It earthquaked its way through pretty much anything, and it just is so bulky. Like if you put a bit of HP investment in it and Dynamax it, it's got like 400 HP easily, plus some half decent defenses, plus a fantastic typing that's only weak to grass. And when you've got like other Pokemon that I had, like Rotom Heat and Tornadus paired up with it, and then eventually Miltank in the end as well with Sap Sipper, it was like, it just was a no-brainer. It was so good. And I am really sad. One of the saddest things with the VBA is that it's over, because I just want to use Whiscash. I just wanted to use it. Like, if it's up there, and those of you who watch my Nuzlogs and know that like Marge is also say hello to Marge. Hello. Marge is like the channel mascot now, because of what happened in that original Nuzlocke. If it weren't for Marge, then Whiscash would be my channel mascot. I'd be the Sussex Whiscashes. I don't care. It was that good. It was so amazing, and it deserves all of the love that it got from you guys in the comments and Discords and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was absolutely incredible. So yeah. All in all, my run was pretty good. Like, it wasn't good because I lost, but it was good-ish. We went 10-0 in the regular season. We only dropped 2 games, not counting the bye, and had some really like excellent victories along the way as well. Like, where planning and preparation and stuff came through, and we just sort of wiped through teams a couple of times, which was really nice. We outthought a lot of times. We got a bit of luck along the way, as you have to. But like, I was really proud of it at first, and I probably should still be proud of it now. But yeah, it was really good. And then basically what happened was we got to the playoffs, and I stopped playing so well. Obviously, you know, you get to playoffs and opponents are always going to be better, but I didn't play very well at all during the playoffs. The first round of playoffs, we obviously won against Joe, and yeah, like that was good. It was good, and we did well at times. Like some of what I did was really good, and I think it was game 1 I played really nicely, and game 3 I played the end game really well, and that was nice, but it wasn't convincing. It wasn't like I had been all season. Then we came up against Rhett in game 2. Got battered game 1, beaten game 2, and then game 3 got like the roll of all rolls. So we were quite frankly lucky to make the final anyway. Like, you know, we shouldn't really have, arguably shouldn't even really have been in the final, because Rhett outplayed us that day, and he played so well, and we didn't. But we did make the final, and Theo on the day was like I said, Theo was the better man. Like, he played so well. He prepped well, and ultimately I lost for a couple of reasons. Number one, laziness on my part, which I was not guilty of the whole season long until the final. The night before the final, I was laying in bed, practicing, like prepping on Showdown with Rhett, and we got to Whimsicott Haxorus matchup, right? Because we'd gone through every single matchup that Theo had, and I had probably like 20 to 25 leads that we'd prepped against, and I was all prepared for, and we beat them all. Every single one of them we beat. Like, you could have played those games probably 20 times over, and I'd have won them all. We were that well prepped. We really put the effort in. And it came down to Haxorus Whimsicott. It was late at night, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'm so tired. And I lost a couple of matches to Haxorus Whimsicott, and I said to Rhett, should we prep for this? Should we, like, you know, realistically, is he going to bring Haxorus Whimsicott? Because we had so many ways to beat it with different Pokemon, like, that we could have brought. If we'd have brought Togedemaru, for example, and he led Haxorus Whimsicott, we'd have just won. And so we kind of chatted it over, and I made the decision. I said, do you know what, Rhett, let's leave this matchup. We've got so many, and he's never going to bring Haxorus Whimsicott, because I'll just beat it. Like, I'll beat it every single time. So, you know, with the majority of what I could bring. Unfortunately, what happened was Theo brought Haxorus Whimsicott, and we actually beat it game 1, and then I stupidly decided that game 2 I'd switch up what I was going to do. He brought the Levitate Haunter skill swap into Heatran in game 2, and I nearly pulled it back using Miltank, who Miltank was awesome in that final. Miltank deserved a winner's medal. Like, I feel like I should have traded Miltank to Theo so Miltank could have a winner's medal, because it was so good. And I just stupidly, you know, like, if that was, it was so bad, so I bottled it big time, because if that wasn't a final, you see Haunter and you see Heatran in the same team, right? And you think, well, why is he bringing the Haunter? You know, like, looking back, it was really obvious. But anyway, we lost game 2 to a really cool strategy and really well played strategy by Theo. And then game 3, it was Haxorus Whimsicott again, and I led Mimikyu. And my thinking was, I led Mimikyu, I think it was Mimikyu, did I lead Mimikyu Venusaur? I can't remember now. Try to block it from my mind. But as it turns out, if I'd have just been brave, Dynamaxed Mimikyu into Haxorus like I was thinking, then we'd be sitting here winning as the winners of the final, and not the losers. As it was, I tried to be smart, tried to play clever. It didn't work. I managed to play myself back into a position in that final where I gave myself a crit chance on the last turn of the game to win it. But unfortunately, I didn't. And I think, in my opinion, the best man won on the day. So we went, I think, in the end, 12-1, which is a good record by anyone's standards. And it's one of those things. It's the best record in the competition, but I didn't win, so it means sweet FA. There we go. What can we do? That's so there you go. That's part 1 of this video. That was a little bit of an explanation about my run in the VBA and how things went. And yeah, you know, I think it was great fun. I loved it, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a second. Okay, so this is part 2 of the video. This is going to be about, like, keys to being successful in Draft League, particularly VGC Draft League battling, and throughout the whole season, right? So, as I say, probably I'm only the second best person to give you this advice in the VBA, but hopefully it can help you. It certainly helped me in the first season learning these things, and they're definitely things that I will take away and put into practice next year if I can do. So the first thing is, I think I put so much time and thought into my draft, into the Pokemon I wanted, the teams I wanted to build, and blah 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 blah. Right, and I got Tornadus, who was my second overall pick. Like, that's who I would have picked second overall if I'd have got Thundurus instead of Tornadus. I would have taken Thundurus. But the rest of the team was pretty much not what I expected, not really what I wanted. And I'm so glad that was the case. If I'd have got the team I wanted, it would have been shockingly bad. Like, I built VGC teams, I built a VGC roster of Pokemon I wanted to pick, and I'm so glad I didn't get them. Because VGC Draft League is not VGC. It is not the same as on the ladder. It is not the same as the tournaments you enter. You know, it is not what you see Cybertron and Wolf Glick playing. It's totally different. And you need to appreciate variety. You need to appreciate more than like a Pokemon's VGC, like acumen. Acumen? Is that the right word? If it's not the right word, pretend I said a correct word. But it's more than just how good they are in VGC. It is about how good they are on your team, in the format that you're playing. What can they do? What can they offer? And more than that, once you've looked at that first thing they can offer, what can they offer second and third and fourth and fifth? And how many times can you use them in different ways? How many ways can they support the other Pokemon on your team? And so on and so forth, right? Power is not as important as variety, in my opinion, for draft leagues. Thundurus would have been my pick over Tornadus if I'd have got the choice. Like I say, Thundurus is harder hitting and has more variety of stab attacks. However, it's second best to Tornadus in that matchup when it comes to draft leagues, because Tornadus does loads. Why was Whiscash so useful? Because it just did so much stuff, special and physical. It just did so much. I could use it in so many different ways. So when you're thinking about your draft for Season 2 of the VBA or whatever draft league you might be playing in, or whether it's your first or 10th draft league, think about variety. Think about what can this Pokemon offer aside from what it does on YouTube when I watch people play. Yeah? The second thing I was going to look for, or talk about rather, is preparing for your opponents, right? Like, again, preparation to me was more important than my Pokemon's strength. There was a couple of like matchups where the opponent had their tier 1 Pokemon were like really, really strong. I looked at their tier 1 Pokemon and saw like the big hitters, the big guns, and on paper it looked like, oh man, I'm gonna get wrecked here. I'm gonna get absolutely battered. But if you prep well, work out a strategy to beat those Pokemon, then you can do it. You don't need to have like the strongest Pokemon classically if you prep. So for example, I'm not going to bring the same 6 Pokemon every week. I'm not going to bring the same 6 sets. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to make sure that in this matchup, I have these Pokemon because they serve this purpose, right? It follows a pattern. Am I bringing the correct Pokemon for the matchup? My opponent has Heatran. Okay, so I need to make sure I have more than one way of dealing with Heatran, because maybe I've got Mamoswine and I can max Quake it and that will pick up a KO, but okay, what if it's Focus Sashed, or what if it's got a Sugar Berry, or what if it's this, what if it's that, how do I deal with that if it happens? How can I prep my team for that, blah, 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 blah. And so if you didn't prep well enough, then you couldn't complain if you lost, I think, and that's something that's really, really important for draft leagues in general. So yeah, the third point, appreciate your opponent and appreciate their threats and appreciate their strategies. And whilst it might seem like I'm giving away all my tricks and stuff here, one of the best things I think I'm able to do as a draft league player, or was able to do this season as a draft league player, was vary not just the Pokemon I brought, but the way I played. When I was prepping for certain opponents, I watched their matches that were available on YouTube, or I looked at their results, and you could see, right, like you could see what they're going to bring. What they're going to bring. So one of the best players in the league this year was the H-Town Houndooms. They came third in the end, but they were top with me for like the whole time, pretty much. And I played them in the last week of the regular season, and they were fantastic and nearly beat me. But when I was preparing for their team, I know looking at that, the Colossal's going to come, right? Colossal's going to come, probably Excelgor, probably Urshifu. Like, you know, I can prep for the Pokemon that they're most likely going to bring. And that gives you a little bit of an advantage, right? So, like, if I know Colossal's coming, I'm not going to bring a team of grass Pokemon to that. You know, it's just kind of simple. Like, appreciate what they use, appreciate their playstyle, appreciate all of that stuff that you're doing when you come up against your opponent. You know, like, you might be playing the person second bottom in the league, or someone who's not had a typically good season, but if you don't appreciate that they are still a strong opponent in their own right, or that they have a particularly strong threat, they have a Pokemon or a strategy that you're weak against, then, you know, you run the risk of getting beaten. And so that, again, to me was something really, really important. I guess on the flip side of that, you could also say, make sure you vary what you do, because if, you know, like, if you're doing the same thing every week, so, like, for example, if I bring Rotom Heat every single week and I Dynamax Rotom Heat every single week, I might win some matches because Rotom Heat's a strong Pokemon, but when I play against the guy who's prepping for me and I turn up and he's got a whole bunch of, like, rock type Pokemon, and I think, oh right, oh man, okay, he's prepped for my Rotom Heat, and then he beats me. So, you know, and finally, second to finally, keep calm, be able to adapt and know your win conditions. Rhett and I, like I said, prep together all season, and one of the things that I often said to him before his matches, like, so Rhett and I both have very different strengths, which is why we prep together and why we do well at prepping together. Rhett is analytically really, really, really brilliant. Like, he sees matchups, he looks at the overall picture of a matchup and can see and think about what an opponent's going to bring, and see and think about how interactions are going to work. He's really, really clever with it. And my strength in a lot of those things was and is playing out a match to its conclusion and knowing how a match will end, or how I can make a match end how I want it to, right? So, like, every week before Rhett's match, I'd message him and I'd say, hey, go out there and remember your win conditions. You know, like, I think it was week 2 or 3 for where he was playing Theo, and we had this whole mantra of, like, Whimsicott must die, kill Whimsicott, because if you can beat Whimsicott, then you can put yourself in a position to win in the end. So it's important to know your win cons in any format, but I think particularly in Draft League, if you can remove a Pokemon from the matchup, that means you'll win it, then do it. Stay calm. Sometimes things won't go your way. Make sure you can adapt. Don't do what I did in the final and not adapt and not do well. Be calm. Adapt. Go from there. You know, like, work out, oh, man, my opponent's brought something I was not expecting. How am I going to win this now? Stay calm. Win it through being clever, through letting your opponent make a mistake if you need to. Just make sure you put yourself in the best position. Okay, so finally this time, enjoy it. Enjoy it. I'll link Theo's channel down below, but I did a little chat with him after our final matchup. And despite the obvious, like, sadness in my voice, one of the things I said to Theo was how much I enjoyed being part of the VBA this year, how much I enjoyed being part of a draft league. I took a long break from competitive Pokemon and playing Pokemon in general, and this was the first real, other than a couple of silly Players Cups and stuff, like, I only picked up again in, like, August, I think. Yeah, I started playing Pokemon again in August, and then I only picked up competitive scene again, like, when the draft league came out, pretty much. And I tried some VGC before that, and it's just bored me. Like, it's so dull sometimes, VGC, because it's the same Pokemon and same stuff over and over and over again. And, like, at the moment it's actually okay. I don't normally like the Legends format, but at least things are kind of varied and different. But I found out this whole draft league thing existed, and it's so much fun. It's like brilliantly fun, even when things don't go your way. And obviously, like, you know, a lot of the season things did go my way, but it's so much fun using these Pokemon. Like, how many times would I normally use Whiscash and Barbaracle and actually them be really successful and them not be like a weak link? Like, they were the strong Pokemon at times, and seeing all these different teams with different Pokemon and watching everyone's videos, and it was just genuinely, like, one of the best and most healthy experiences that I've had in my life, certainly gaming wise. Like, it was just fantastic. So, you know, enjoy it. Enjoy trying to do different stuff. Enjoy playing Draft League. Yeah. There you go. There's my tips to how to be almost successful in Draft League. Okay, part 3. As you can see just here, there are 2 logos on the screen. One is a Sableye, ergo the Sussex Sableyes. My team, my franchise, my whatever you want to call it for the year, the Sussex Sableyes. And next to the Sableye is a Drillbur with some with a bit of like a logo theme going on there. So I'm kind of stuck. I'm stuck in the middle of a decision here, and I don't know where to go with this. So I didn't expect how I would feel losing the final. Like I'd accepted win or lose how that like next season, in the spirit of the last thing I talked about, enjoying myself. I was going to change team names and I was going to change how I was going to do things. However, I didn't quite expect how bad I would feel losing and how like a sense of like determination to come back and win that I would feel having come second. And so now I'm little bit more on the fence. But I'll explain a little bit more. The best thing about this season wasn't winning matches. The best thing about this season was using crazy strategies and silly Pokemon and like doing stuff that I've never done before and using strategies and Pokemon I've never used before. That was my favorite thing. And whilst I'll always be able to recreate that sense of like, you know, of doing all of that with whatever team I have in front of me, I know if I draft a team again next year, I will draft what I see to be the best Pokemon, the most competitive Pokemon, and blah, 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 blah. So, my idea was, and is, I'm going to change my team name. I'm not going to be the Sussex Sableyes. I'm going to become the Dice Roll Drillburs, okay? So what that means is, when it rolls around to draft day, I am going to effectively roll the dice on each pick. If we take the idea being the same format as last year, which obviously it might change, I don't know what's going to go on, that's for the admins to decide. But let's say we have 10 different picks, like a Gmax, tier 1, tier 1, tier 1, tier 2, tier 2, tier 2, tier 3, tier 3, whatever it was, like however it worked, I can't even remember now, is it like, whatever it was. Each pick I'm going to make, so I'm going to dice roll which pick I make, so like 1 to 10 of which slot I pick, and then I'm going to dice roll from there. So like, let's say I'm doing my tier 1 pick, I will have worked out pre-draft how many Pokemon are in tier 1, and then I'll do a random number generator, and whichever number it lands on, that's going to be my pick. The idea of this is because I just want to use like the most random team. I want to go for something. I want to use Pokemon that I would never pick, you know, and like, even if I said to myself going into a draft, okay, I'm only going to pick different Pokemon I've never used before, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I know myself, and if turn 1 I draft Weezing, I'm going to end up drafting stuff that complements Weezing. Or if turn 1 I draft something like even better, I drafted like a really, really great Pokemon, I'm going to build a team around it. Like, I won't be able to stop myself. So if I commit to the dice roll thing, I don't have a choice. I'll even stream it live on Twitch so that I can't be questioned, you know. I just feel like it would be something really, really fun and really unique, and it might mean that I suck. That might happen, but I just feel like it would really, really push me to do even better, and also I think it would be great. I think it would be a lot of fun. So what I want you guys to do is let me know what you think. Should I go for the Sableyes, draft as competitive team as I possibly can and try and win that way? Or do I go for the dice roll and get a random team of fun Pokemon and try and win that way? Because either way, I'm still going to try and win. And I'm really, really excited for Season 2. So thank you so much to all of the admins. Like, thank you to all of you for putting the tournament on, because I loved it. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, it's the best gaming experience I've ever had. Thank you to Rhett for helping me prep, and thank you to everyone who supported me. I'm sorry that I didn't win. Thanks for watching, guys. And yeah, I'll see you all next season. Bye-bye.